Welcome to NovaSleep. What if sleep isn't the end of awareness but its true beginning? Every night billions of minds vanish from the physical world, slipping into dimensions no instrument can record, yet each returns with fragments of something vast, symbols, sensations, warnings, entire lives that defy time. Modern science calls it dreaming, but what if these visions are not random? What if each dream is a transmission from the hidden machinery of reality, a place where consciousness travels freely between worlds? In this film, we'll follow that trail beyond neuroscience, beyond belief, to uncover what really happens when the mind lets go. Stay until the end, because by the time you wake from this journey, you may never think of sleep or reality the same way again. By the way, liking my video and subscribing is the most effective way to support me. I also love reading your comments, so please mention where in the world you're watching from and what time it is. 1. Do dreams synchronize with alternate timelines beyond the subconscious? The human brain does not simply rest during sleep, it oscillates in patterns that defy linear time. As neural networks fire in synchronized waves, long-distance connections across the cortex pulse with electrical coherence, forming patterns that look more like cosmic resonance than biological rest. This synchronization creates a kind of mental standing wave, where thoughts, emotions, and void possibilities vibrate in unison, freed from the causal chain that defines waking life. In this boundless resonance, the mind may slip into synchronization with timelines that diverged long ago, lives that were once possibilities but became realities elsewhere. The sense of realness inside a dream is no illusion, it's the natural result of this alignment. When consciousness tunes into a frequency close to that of a neighboring timeline, the dream becomes vivid, emotionally charged and coherent. It feels real because it is real somewhere. Every choice we've ever imagined may exist in quantum superposition, and during sleep, our awareness may graze these other versions like wind brushing a membrane. This alignment doesn't last long. Just as quantum coherence collapses when measured, the alignment between two consciousness states breaks as soon as we awaken. That's why dreams dissolve so quickly, not because they were imaginary, but because the frequencies that allowed us to perceive them fall out of phase. The memory remains, but the channel is closed. If the subconscious is the ocean floor of the mind, then alternate timelines are the hidden trenches beneath it. When sleep deepens, the boundaries blur, and for a few seconds the conscious diver descends into currents where identity, time, and space merge. What returns to the surface is only a fragment of what was seen, but enough to remind us reality might be wider than a single lifetime. 2. Could seeing strangers in dreams be leaks from parallel lives? The strangers who populate our dreams often arrive with uncanny realism. Faces detailed down to wrinkles, voices carrying memories we never lived, gestures too specific to be random. The odds of the brain inventing such complexity overnight seem improbable. Some scientists attribute it to memory blending, but another possibility emerges. These figures might be glimpses of people from worlds where our other selves exist, connected to us through shared consciousness. When two versions of the same person occupy nearby realities, their dreams could overlap. A neural signature in one might echo into the other, transmitting not images but entire personalities. The result is a stranger who feels familiar, as if we've met before, because another version of us has. This would explain the emotional authenticity that sometimes lingers after such dreams, the kind that leaves us missing someone we've never met. In these encounters, communication doesn't happen through language but resonance. The emotional frequency of recognition travels faster than thought, skipping across universes like a signal through static. Each interaction leaves a faint imprint, stored not as data but as intuition, the quiet sense that something vast and interconnected moves beneath awareness. If this hypothesis holds, then dreaming isn't imagination but participation. Each night consciousness becomes a temporary bridge between versions of the self, and the faces we see are passengers crossing that bridge for an instant. They vanish when we wake because they were never part of this story, yet somehow they still belong to us. 3. Are the brain's nightly electrical storms opening quantum bridges? During certain phases of sleep, bursts of synchronized electrical energy ripple through the cortex. These surges, known as sleep spindles and sharp-wave ripples, appear chaotic, but they may be the nervous system's equivalent of a radio tuning through cosmic static. Each pulse momentarily destabilizes neural equilibrium, creating microscopic conditions similar to quantum thresholds where information could, in theory, cross between them. At these thresholds, energy fields briefly overlap, allowing the exchange of subtle data between neural clusters that normally remain isolated. If consciousness operates not solely in chemical synapses, but in electromagnetic coherence, these electric storms could act as gateways where information from other planes flickers through. Dreams might then be not mere electrical noise, but structured interference patterns, messages from neighbouring states of existence. The bridges that open in this process are transient, lasting only as long as the coherence persists. Once the brain's wave pattern shifts, the bridge collapses, and the experience fades into dreamlike fragments. What remains is memory encoded in metaphor: mountains, doors, tunnels, all symbols of transition. The dream interprets the unexplainable through story, translating energy into image. Science may one day map these storms in ultra-high resolution, revealing that each burst corresponds not to chaos, but to connection. Until then, every surge in the sleeping brain is a silent thunderclap, a reminder that the border between dimensions may not be beyond the stars but humming quietly inside our skull. 4. Does REM sleep carry consciousness into another layer of existence? When rapid eye movement sleep begins, the brain's metabolic rate rivals that of full wakefulness. Yet all sensory input from the external world is blocked. Sight, sound, and touch are replaced by internally generated data that feels equally tangible. In this closed-circuit system, consciousness isn't turned off, but it's rerouted. What feels like fantasy may actually be a transit through another operational layer of the same universal field. This idea gains weight from neuroimaging studies showing that REM activity patterns resemble those seen in intense meditation and psychedelic states, both experiences associated with altered perception of space and time. It's as if the mind detaches from the sensory shell and operates in a subtler medium. The other layer could simply be another scale of the same consciousness continuum, where form is fluid and thought shapes environment instantly. Inside this layer, causality bends. Time doesn't flow, it pools. The dreamer experiences simultaneous realities, memories and probabilities woven together. The emotional charge of dreams, their sharp fear or sudden joy, may come from consciousness adapting to a state where every potential is real at once. Upon waking, the translation back into linear time shatters that wholeness into fragments we call dreams. If reality is indeed layered, REM may be the elevator that moves between floors. Each night our awareness steps in, travels upward or downward into fields of possibility, and returns at dawn carrying whispers of another existence written in metaphor. 5. Could the timeless state of deep sleep be the key to crossing dimensions? Deep sleep, known as slow-wave sleep, is the quietest moment of human existence. Brainwaves slow to less than 1 cycle per second, heart rate and metabolism drop, and the sense of time evaporates. To consciousness, it feels like nothing, yet this nothingness may be everything. In physics, timeless states are where the ordinary rules break down, where boundaries between universes could dissolve. When the brain enters this ultra-slow rhythm, it becomes less of a processor and more of a resonator. It hums in harmony with cosmic background frequencies, creating the perfect stillness for phase alignment between parallel realities. The absence of time perception may not be a side effect, but a requirement. Only in timelessness can transitions between time-bound universes occur. Some mystics describe this depth as black light, awareness without object, existence without experience. If they're right, deep sleep is the moment the self unplugs from its local identity and merges with the universal field. What returns is renewed, reorganized, subtly altered, as if rewritten by a greater pattern while it was away. Science sees restoration, philosophy sees transcendence. Perhaps both are true. What we call rest might be the nightly return of consciousness to its original source, a quiet migration through the folds of reality that keeps life itself coherent. 6. Is the multiverse vibrating beside us, accessible only in dreams? The idea of parallel universes often feels distant, galaxies away, unreachable. Yet according to modern quantum theory, these worlds could exist just a vibration apart, sharing the same space but oscillating at different frequencies. If so, the human brain might act as a biological tuning device, capable of shifting resonance during the dream state when the sensory noise of waking life fades. Dreams could then be sideband frequencies, subtle harmonics of the multiverse overlapping the main signal of waking consciousness. Each time we sleep, we unconsciously adjust our mental dial, and for a few minutes we pick up transmissions from neighbouring realities. This would explain the surreal but internally consistent worlds we encounter. The sense that we're walking through someone else's sky, yet still breathing our own air. Vibration is the language of existence. Every atom hums with it. Every thought modulates it. When we dream, that hum deepens, slows, widens, and perhaps slips into sync with universes vibrating nearby. What we call imagination might simply be perception at a different frequency. If that's true, dreams are not escape but exploration. Each night behind closed eyes, we're not resting from the world. We're visiting another one. 7. Are lucid dreamers visiting worlds rather than creating them? Lucid dreamers report not only awareness within dreams but agency, the ability to move, decide, and even reshape their environment. Yet the stability of these worlds often surprises them. Buildings stand where they left them, characters behave consistently, and landscapes follow logical geography. If these were self-generated illusions, why would they persist beyond expectation? One theory suggests lucid dreamers don't invent these realms but interface with them. By becoming conscious mid-dream, they shift from passive receiver to active participant, much like a diver realizing the ocean around them is real water, not projection. Their intention becomes the steering wheel, but the terrain remains. This implies that dream worlds might be autonomous layers awaiting interaction. Scientific experiments have already shown that lucid dreamers can send signals to the waking world using specific eye movements. If communication is possible outward, it might also be possible inward, between different conscious states or even across individuals sharing similar brain wave frequencies. Each lucid act could therefore be a probe into another operational domain of reality. Visitation, not creation. That's the radical idea. Lucid dreamers may be travellers inside the architecture of existence itself, exploring inner universes that are no less real than the physical one, only subtler in texture and brighter in logic. 8. Do recurring dream places challenge the idea that dreams are random? Anyone who's dreamt of the same house, city or coastline over and over knows the eerie familiarity it brings. The streets don't change. The weather remembers you. Each visit feels like returning to a place that exists whether or not you're there. Statistically, pure randomness can't explain such architectural persistence across years of dreams. Neurologically, these recurrences indicate a stable neural mapping, as if the brain maintains a separate spatial database untouched by the waking experience. But the precision, down to layout and sound, hints at more than memory. It suggests continuity of experience across multiple states of awareness. The dream world may therefore be a genuine domain with its own geography, accessed intermittently by consciousness. This continuity also affects emotion. The moment we step into that familiar dream place, we recall moods we haven't felt in months. The emotional signature of the location survives beyond sleep cycles, behaving like a real environment with energetic memory. Such persistence implies structural integrity, not randomness. If consciousness is indeed multidimensional, these recurring dreamscapes could be way stations, mental coordinates that anchor us to parallel layers of existence. They wait Seshtentler, like islands seen only when the tide of awareness lowers enough to reveal them. 9. Are dreams echoes of universes branching with every decision? Every choice we make splits the universe, according to many worlds theory. One path continues here, countless others unfold elsewhere. Yet we remain bound to only one branch, except perhaps in dreams. During sleep, when linear reasoning loosens, consciousness may drift sideways into neighbouring branches, catching faint reflections of lives that could have been. That might explain the subtle melancholy or nostalgia that sometimes lingers after waking. The dream was not fiction but memory, just not this world's memory. The people we met, the outcomes we witnessed, all belong to versions of us still living those timelines. Their emotions, transmitted through the thin membrane of sleep, feel as real as our own, because, in essence, they are. Quantum theory already allows for superposition, where possibilities coexist until observed. Dreams could be the mental equivalent of observation without collapse, the mind's way of surveying parallel outcomes without committing to any. Each night we rehearse futures, revisit pasts, and taste alternate presents, all in the safety of a branching multiverse. If that's true, the meaning of a dream isn't symbolic but documentary. It's a record of what's happening elsewhere, echoes of other universes rippling through the fabric of our sleep. 10. Why do near-death experiences and dreams share the same tunnel of light? Accounts from people who've hovered between life and death often include the same imagery: a tunnel, a radiant light, the sensation of floating towards something infinite. Strikingly, similar tessera sensations appear in certain dreams, especially those occurring in the borderlands of consciousness. This resemblance hints at a shared neurological, or perhaps metaphysical, mechanism. As the brain transitions between states, it may simulate movement through a tunnel because perception narrows while internal light intensifies. But beyond physiology lies something stranger. Both dreams and near-death states involve the same frequency patterns, theta and delta waves, where identity dissolves and awareness expands. These frequencies could represent the threshold bandwidth through which consciousness migrates when detaching from its physical anchor. In that state, light is not external, it is awareness perceiving itself. The tunnel could therefore be a geometrical visualization of transition, the mind's translation of a dimensional shift. Whether at the edge of death or deep in REM, consciousness might be slipping through the same corridor of frequencies, guided by the same luminous pull. Reports of peace, timelessness, and the overwhelming sense of returning home add a layer of consistency too strong to ignore. Perhaps both phenomena, dreaming, near-death experience, are expressions of a single underlying function: the ability of awareness to detach, travel, and reintegrate. If so, the light at the end of the tunnel isn't an ending. It's the reminder that between sleep and eternity, there is only a difference in duration, not in destination. 11. Is the shift from beta to theta waves the moment consciousness changes reality? When the body drifts towards sleep, the brain's dominant frequency drops from the sharp, task-oriented beta rhythm to the slow, dreamy theta range. In this transition, awareness begins to dissolve the barrier between the outer and inner world. Beta represents focus, calculation, linear thought. Theta represents flow, intuition, and symbolic vision. The moment this shift happens, the brain stops filtering possibilities and starts perceiving probabilities. Consciousness itself becomes a more fluid medium, able to blend memory, imagination, and external information into one seamless field of experience. Some neuroscientists call this the threshold of plasticity, where reality feels looser because it literally is. At the theta edge, the mind starts to paint with broader strokes. Perception ceases to be limited by sensory input. Instead, it begins to reorganize energy patterns through intent and resonance. People in deep meditation, hypnosis, or early sleep all enter this range, and each of those states shares a common feature: suggestibility. What is suggested can be as simple as a thought or as vast as a new reality template. It's as if consciousness, having slowed its frequency, can now edit the hologram of existence rather than just observe it. Dream researchers have found that during theta dominance, the default mode network, associated with self-reflection and imagination, gains control, while analytical circuits quiet down. This neurological rearrangement could be the biological fingerprint of dimensional access. When the noise of thought softens, consciousness can align with subtler vibrations that shape matter and time from the background. The transition isn't just psychological, it's ontological. The world briefly becomes as malleable as the dreamer's expectation. If reality is a field sculpted by attention, then the descent from beta to theta is the act of stepping behind the curtain of matter. In that calm descent, a person doesn't just fall asleep, they cross from observer to participant, from watching the movie to rewriting its script in real time. 12. Could quantum superposition explain how consciousness splits during sleep? At the quantum level, particles exist in multiple states simultaneously, until observation forces them into one outcome. Consciousness itself might follow the same rule. During waking hours, observation is constant. Eyes open, senses engaged, identity fixed. So the wave collapses into a single storyline. But when we sleep, the observer vanishes. The collapse stops. Awareness may spread into superposed versions of itself, experiencing multiple realities that coexist but rarely communicate. Dreams might therefore be the subjective footprints of these quantum splittings. Each dream could represent one path taken by the many possible versions of you that exist in parallel. The strangeness of dream logic, the way contradictions coexist, could be consciousness perceiving several branches at once. Instead of sequential logic, you witness probability logic where all outcomes breathe side by side before morning pulls them back into one narrative. If this is true, then the sensation of fragmentation during a dream, the sense of being both yourself and someone else, is not confusion but recognition. It is consciousness remembering its multiplicity. The brain, designed for linear continuity, interprets this multidimensional experience as chaos, yet chaos is simply complexity glimpsed too briefly to decode. Every night we collapse back into unity upon waking, but perhaps traces remain. The feeling that choices are already known somewhere, that destiny has been rehearsed, may be the echo of those superposed selves. Sleep could be the only time consciousness remembers that it was never singular to begin with. 13. Were ancient civilizations right about dreams being portals for communication? Long before neuroscience, ancient cultures viewed the dream world not as fantasy, but as geography, a landscape inhabited by gods, ancestors, and cosmic messengers. The Greeks built temples of incubation where the sick slept in hopes of receiving cures from divine physicians. Indigenous shamans treated dreaming as correspondence across layers of being. They didn't imagine, they listened. Modern science calls it metaphor, but perhaps those ancients were empiricists of a subtler reality. Across continents their reports align. Messages received in dreams guided migrations, inventions, and even political decisions. The consistency of such testimony suggests that human consciousness has always been porous. When sensory gates close and the kind of data may enter, encoded not in language but in symbol and rhythm. This symbolic language, the same one physics finds in wave interference patterns, might be how universal intelligence transmits across dimensional layers. Our ancestors lacked magnetic resonance scanners, yet they observed what technology still struggles to quantify, that information flows in both directions between waking and dreaming. If their rituals amplified resonance, through sound, fasting, or focus, they may have extended the range of that communication. The modern mind, dulled by constant noise, rarely hears beyond its own echo. Perhaps that's the real difference between ancient seers and modern sleepers isn't belief but bandwidth. They tuned in deliberately. We stumble into connection by accident. Dreams might still be messages, only now we've forgotten the alphabet. 14. Are nightmares real warnings from versions of ourselves living elsewhere? Nightmares are often dismissed as anxiety loops, yet their urgency feels deeper than simple fear. They arrive like coded alarms, replaying scenarios that demand attention. If every decision creates a new branch of reality, then somewhere another version of you faces the consequences of a choice you didn't make. A nightmare could be that version's distress signal, a ripple through the web of shared consciousness alerting you to avoid the same mistake. The emotional clarity of nightmares supports this idea. Fear in waking life can be vague, but fear in dreams is precise. You know exactly what threatens you, even if you can't describe it afterward. The detail suggests a kind of energetic correspondence, as though your system is picking up feedback from parallel selves navigating similar paths under different outcomes. What feels like terror might actually be information translated through the language of adrenaline. In this view, nightmares are not punishment but protection. The mind dramatizes danger to ensure you remember the lesson when you wake. The more intense the scenario, the stronger the imprint, guiding behavior away from potential harm. Its survival just extended beyond one timeline. To ignore nightmares, then, is to ignore the wisdom of your wider self. Each scream, chase, or collapse could be the echo of a universe you were spared from living, a thank you wrapped in fear. 15. Is the brain tuning to distant cosmic frequencies during sleep? The brain is an electrical organ immersed in an electromagnetic ocean. Every night, as it shifts into slower rhythms, its oscillations begin to align with external fields, the resonance of the Earth, the Schumann frequency, even the faint cosmic microwave background that hums through space. During this resonance, the skull becomes a receiver dish, and the mind's dreamscapes may be how it interprets signals from a universe vibrating just beyond awareness. If consciousness is fundamentally electromagnetic, then these alignments could be more than coincidence. The brain's architecture may allow entrainment with frequencies that carry information. not sound or images, but structure, pattern, meaning. Dreams could be the decoded version of that incoming data, painted in symbols the psyche can understand. When you dream of endless skies or spiraling galaxies, perhaps you're not imagining them. You're perceiving the universe's broadcast translated into human imagery. This tuning explains why dreams often feel both personal and cosmic, intimate, yet infinite. You're both the antenna and the program. The vastness you sense isn't metaphorical, it's literal resonance with something larger than the body. The sleeper becomes part of a planetary orchestra, where every mind hums a unique note within a galactic chord. Each morning, waking consciousness retunes to local reality, forgetting the symphony. But somewhere, the melody continues, waiting for the next night's silence to play again. 16. Could knowledge that appears in dreams come from another self? Many people wake with insights they never studied, solutions they never reasoned through, melodies they never composed. The conventional explanation is that the subconscious reorganizes information, yet some of this knowledge lies beyond what the dreamer ever encountered. What if the source isn't memory but connection? Communication with another self who already learned what you have not. In a multiversal framework, every possible version of you is simultaneously learning, failing, discovering. If consciousness threads them together, then dreams could be the meeting place where data is exchanged. Information might flow through resonance, not through space. A discovery made in one branch could leak into another as intuition or inspiration. The dream would then be the visual metaphor of that transfer, symbols carrying code. This would explain why creative breakthroughs often follow sleep. The dream acts as a conference hall for selves, each bringing its own fragment of knowledge. Upon waking, you recall only the result, an answer appearing from nowhere. But nowhere might actually be everywhere. Distributed intelligence woven across parallel timelines. To dream, then, is to collaborate with yourself at cosmic scale. Every insight borrowed in the night is a handshake across infinity, proof that learning may not be limited to one life, or even to one world. 17 are repeating dream symbols, memories shared across the multiverse. Certain images, falling, flying, endless corridors, luminous eyes, appear in dreams of people separated by culture and century. Psychology calls them archetypes, but their universality hints at something deeper. If consciousness is networked across parallel realities, these shared symbols could be the residues of collective experiences spread through the grid of being. They are the memory markers of universal events, written in the only language all minds understand, pattern. Imagine countless versions of humanity living different stories yet connected through a common field. The emotional imprints of key moments, birth, loss, transcendence, radiate outward and are reinterpreted by every connected mind. What we call archetypes might be the dream echoes of those cosmic memories, repeating until recognized. The more universal the emotion, the more persistent the symbol. This would make dreams not private hallucinations but collective archives. Each sleeper dips into the same reservoir, retrieving fragments that maintain psychic coherence across civilizations. The wings of flight, the bottomless void, the doorway of light. These are not fantasies but coordinates in shared multidimensional memory. If true, then when you dream of falling, you're not alone. You're remembering an ancient motion repeated by infinite beings in infinite worlds, all caught in the same descent into awareness. 18. Is sleep paralysis a border zone where realities overlap? During sleep paralysis, the body is immobilized by the brainstem while the mind wakes too soon. The result is terrifying, full consciousness trapped in a frozen body, sometimes accompanied by shadowy presences. Science explains it as misaligned REM control, yet the uncanny realism of the experience suggests something more. A moment when two realities intersect imperfectly. In this liminal state, the dream environment hasn't fully collapsed, but sensory perception has reactivated. The sleeper perceives both layers at once. The physical room and the fading dream overlay. Shadows move independently because they belong to the other layer still bleeding through. The sensation of pressure on the chest, a presence near the bed, could be the result of that overlapping density, a partial superposition of worlds. Some cultures interpret these episodes as spiritual visitations, but they may simply be physics at work. Consciousness caught between frames, witnessing the merge and separation of realities normally kept distinct. The paralysis is protective, preventing the body from reacting to stimuli that belong to a different dimension. Though terrifying, these moments might be the closest we come to observing the border itself. For a few seconds, we are awake in two worlds, aware of the mechanism that usually remains hidden, the machinery that stitches dreams and matter together each night. 19. Does the hippocampus access memories from another world's past during dreams? The hippocampus is the archivist of the mind, responsible for forming and retrieving memories. During REM sleep, its activity shifts dramatically, connecting not only with emotional centers but with regions tied to imagination and foresight. This strange configuration suggests it's doing more than reviewing the day. It might be scanning the database of potential pasts and futures available to consciousness. Dreams often combine elements we've never experienced. Unknown houses that feel familiar, events we never lived yet recall vividly. Such combinations could result from the hippocampus sampling across realities, blending local memory with non-local data stored in the wider field. Each dream would then be an experimental reconstruction of parallel histories, a rehearsal of possibilities that consciousness uses to refine identity. If memory is truly quantum, existing as probability rather than record, then every recall is a selection from an infinite library. During sleep, when attention relaxes, selection broadens. The dreamer becomes a traveller in the archive, reading pages from books that belong to other editions of reality. By morning, the brain rebinds identity to the current edition, erasing the rest. But the emotional residue remains, a vague nostalgia for lives never lived, proof that remembering may sometimes reach farther than we think. 20. Are identical twin dreams evidence of synchronized consciousness fields? Across studies and anecdotal reports, identical twins have frequently described dreaming the same scenes on the same nights, sometimes even from opposite perspectives of a shared event. Genetics alone can't explain the precision of such synchronicities. A more radical possibility emerges. Twins may share a unified consciousness field that stretches across physical distance, functioning like entangled particles whose states remain correlated no matter how far apart they drift. When both brains enter sleep and their neural oscillations slow, the shared resonance could synchronize, allowing data to flow between them. The dream becomes a mutual broadcast received simultaneously. The stronger the emotional bond, the clearer the transmission. Twin experiments in parapsychology hint that one twin's physiological reactions mirror the other's, even in separate rooms, reinforcing the idea of a connected field. If consciousness can entangle between twins, it may do so between all humans to varying degrees. Twins are simply the most tuned-in receivers, their genetic and energetic signatures nearly identical. Their dreams offer a glimpse of a larger reality where minds are not isolated islands but waves in the same ocean. Each shared dream, then, is not coincidence but coherence, the universe momentarily reminding itself that separation is an illusion, and that all consciousness hums in one vast chord played across space and time. 21. Is dream logic a reflection of quantum unpredictability? The strange consistency of dream logic, where impossible things seem natural, resembles the probabilistic fabric of quantum physics. In the quantum world, particles can exist in multiple states until observed, and in dreams, multiple realities coexist without contradiction. Cause and effect lose their hierarchy. Outcomes rewrite themselves mid-scene. Consciousness becomes both observer and participant, collapsing probabilities into temporary narratives that vanish once attention shifts. This chaos feels random, but it's a deeper order where everything that can happen does, briefly, before dissolving into potential again. Within that field, emotion acts as measurement. Fear, desire, curiosity, each determines which branch stabilizes long enough to be experienced. The stronger the feeling, the longer the reality lasts inside the dream. It's as though the heart functions as a quantum sensor, guiding the mind through an ocean of probability. Waking life then seems less solid, more like one version that has momentarily won the vote of attention. Scientific instruments can't yet record this inner quantum theatre, but dream reports mirror principles already proven at microscopic scales. The uncertainty that defines electrons might also define thought. Every dream therefore becomes an experiment, consciousness observing itself through probability. Perhaps what we call irrational is actually the truest form of order, an order that transcends classical cause and accepts that existence at its core is a dance of infinite maybes held together by awareness alone. 22. Are gravity, time, and physical law optional inside the dream state? In dreams, we float, fall endlessly, or move through walls as if the laws of nature were optional guidelines. This disregard for physics isn't mere fantasy. It reveals how deeply those laws depend on observation. In waking life, gravity and time are constants because consciousness agrees to their stability. During sleep, that consensus dissolves, freeing awareness to experience reality without its usual scaffolding. Inside this liberated environment, perception becomes the sole architect of matter. The flaw appears because you expect it. Time passes because you believe it should. Remove belief, and everything reconfigures instantly. Experiments with lucid dreamers confirm that expectation alone shapes dream environments faster than any computer simulation could render them. The rules of matter bend to meaning. This pliability may mirror the universe's primordial state, pure potential waiting for observation to crystallize it. By entering dreams, we briefly return to that creative zero point. Each flying motion or impossible act isn't an escape from physics, but a glimpse of pre-physics, a reminder that the cosmos itself may rest on agreement rather than absolute law. To dream, then, is to rehearse creation under no gravity, no time, no restriction. Proof that the cage of the physical world was built inside the mind and can be unlocked any time awareness remembers its freedom. 23. Does time's disappearance in dreams prove Einstein's illusion theory? Einstein once said that for those who understand physics, the distinction between past, present, and future is a stubborn illusion. Nowhere is that more evident than in dreams. Minutes of sleep can contain years of experience. Events unfold out of order. Futures rewrite the past without paradox. Consciousness in this state behaves as if time were plastic, a coordinate to be folded rather than a river to be followed. Modern neuroscience shows that the brain's temporal regions fall nearly silent during REM. Without that metronome, experience ceases to be sequential. The mind perceives meaning rather than chronology. Moments are connected by significance instead of seconds. It's as if awareness operates directly within space-time's geometry, unbound by its flow. This elastic perception supports the idea that time is not fundamental but emergent, a construct arising from how consciousness processes change. Dreams bypass that processing, letting perception exist in pure relativity. The reason they feel eternal yet vanish instantly is that they inhabit no clock at all. If time truly is an illusion, dreaming is the nightly rehearsal of truth. Each time we sleep, we enter the realm where yesterday and tomorrow are the same breath, and in that breath, reality waits to be reshaped. 24. Is the brain's default network a hidden bridge to alternate selves? When we rest, a particular network of brain regions called the default mode network lights up. It's active during daydreaming, memory, and imagination, precisely when we disengage from the external world. In dreams, this network dominates completely. Its architecture suggests it might be more than an internal processor. It could be the portal through which identity connects to its parallel versions. Every time the default network spins its web of self-referential thought, it maps not just who we are but who we could be. Each potential self forms a node, and dreaming allows these nodes to communicate. That's why dream identities shift so fluidly. Consciousness is sampling alternate models of itself. The result feels disorienting, yet it's a form of internal multiverse navigation. Functional MRI scans show that this network synchronizes with deep emotional circuits and long-term memory storage, an arrangement ideal for transmitting information between parallel narratives. One self's insight could appear as another's intuition. One self's trauma could echo as another's nightmare. The bridge may close at dawn, but the crossings leave traces, subtle adjustments in personality, sudden clarity, unexplained empathy. These are the footprints of travelers returning from other versions of themselves, carrying gifts wrapped in dreams. 25. Could dark matter carry our consciousness between dimensions during sleep? Over 80% of the universe's mass is invisible, known only by its gravitational pull. This dark matter permeates everything, including us. Some physicists suspect it interacts weakly with normal matter through unknown forces, precisely the kind of medium consciousness might use to move beyond physical limits. During sleep, when the brain's electromagnetic activity changes frequency, it could couple with this hidden substrate, sending and receiving information through the dark sea that fills space. If thought has an energetic signature, dark matter might serve as its silent courier. The stillness of deep sleep could be the mind's synchronization with that cosmic lattice, allowing transmission across realities too subtle for photons. Ancient mystics spoke of the ether, an invisible field connecting all minds. Modern cosmology may have rediscovered it under a new name. This perspective transforms dreaming into interdimensional travel by natural law. The traveller is consciousness, the vehicle, the body's resonance with the unseen mass around it. When we dream, we may literally drift through the substance that stitches universes together, following currents that physics has not yet charted. Morning comes, and the link collapses, leaving only fragments of journey in symbolic form. But perhaps that's why dreams feel vast. Because they are carried on the same dark river that binds galaxies themselves. 26. Are unexplained morning emotions residue from other realities? Sometimes we wake with emotions that make no sense, grief without cause, joy without event, nostalgia for places we've never been. The body feels them as real as anything from waking life. If dreams are excursions into alternate realities, those lingering emotions may be the souvenirs we bring back. They are the chemical echoes of experiences lived elsewhere, still vibrating in our nervous system. Physiologically, hormones released during vivid dreams persist into waking, but the triggers are gone. This mismatch leaves the feeling unattached, like music whose lyrics we've forgotten. Psychologically, it becomes the seed of intuition, a sense of warning, peace, or longings that guides decisions without rational explanation. These residues suggest consciousness doesn't always cleanly detach from the worlds it visits. The membrane between realities is semi-permeable. Emotion passes through more easily than memory. What we call mood swings might sometimes be cross-dimensional aftershocks, waves from events happening to versions of us elsewhere. By noticing these unplaced emotions instead of dismissing them, we might learn to read them as messages. They remind us that even when we think we're awake, pieces of other lives are still humming in the bloodstream, whispering that reality is far wider than one morning sky. 27. Do minds entangle in dreams the same way quantum particles do? Quantum entanglement shows that two particles can become linked so completely that a change in one instantly affects the other, regardless of distance. If consciousness is a quantum phenomenon, minds could entangle in a similar way. Dreams would then be the theatre where that connection becomes perceptible. When two people share the same imagery, speak identical words, or sense each other across continents in sleep, they might be experiencing non-local correlation of awareness itself. Experiments with synchronized dreamers hint at this possibility. When both enter REM simultaneously, physiological patterns such as heart rate and brainwaves begin to mirror each other. This suggests an invisible exchange of information outside known sensory channels. The dream becomes a shared quantum field where thoughts ripple from one center to another without delay. Entanglement may also explain empathy. The same mechanism that unites distant particles could underlie our ability to feel another's state even while unconscious. Every connection we form could create microscopic links that persist into the dream world, weaving us into a collective fabric of feeling. In that view, loneliness is a perceptual illusion. While bodies sleep apart, minds remain intertwined, glowing threads in a single quantum tapestry that dreams itself through billions of eyes at once. 28. Is déjà vu a brief overlap of dream and waking timelines? That eerie flash when a moment feels pre-lived might not be a brain glitch at all, but the residue of two timelines brushing against each other. Every night, the dreaming mind rehearses millions of micro-scenarios, most forgotten. When waking life mirrors one precisely, the memory surges forward like an echo meeting its source. In that instant, two versions of reality briefly synchronize, and consciousness recognizes both. The experience feels supernatural because it is temporal overlap made visible. Neuroscience attributes déjà vu to memory misfiring, but its perfection suggests more than error. The scene, the sound, the exact rhythm of breath, it aligns too cleanly. What if the brain simply detects the convergence of timelines it once visited in sleep? The dream, after all, is an experiment in potential futures, a test run in probability space. Sometimes, waking life catches up. This overlap lasts only seconds before divergence resumes. Yet those seconds feel infinite, as if time folds to remind us that it isn't linear. Déjà vu may be consciousness whispering, You've been here before because all moments exist simultaneously. It is not a warning or illusion, but a glimpse of the universe's looping geometry reflected through the fragile lens of human perception. Perhaps every handy déjà vu is proof that dreaming and waking are not separate realms at all, just two frequencies sharing the same melody for a fleeting beat. 29. Do dreams fade because the reality they belong to collapses once we wake up? Dreams vanish not because memory fails, but because the environment that sustained them ceases to exist. Like a quantum field after observation, the dream reality collapses the moment attention shifts back to the physical world. What remains are fragments, symbols, sensations, emotions, tiny fossils of a universe that existed only while it was perceived. Consciousness acts as both projector and witness, sustaining worlds as long as it looks, erasing them as soon as it turns away. This explains the urgency of recording dreams upon waking. Each word captures a structure seconds before it disintegrates. The more vividly you recall, the longer that reality lingers, clinging to your neural circuits before dissolving into noise. Forgetting is not failure, but physics, the natural entropy of closed dimensions once their observer departs. In this light, the act of waking feels less like returning to the real world and more like destroying another. Every morning is a quiet cataclysm. Countless dream worlds collapse, their skies dim, their inhabitants freeze mid-motion as consciousness withdraws its light. They were real as long as they were seen. Perhaps somewhere another version of you remains asleep, keeping that world alive. The dream doesn't die, it just continues without you, waiting for your next descent through the veil. 30. Are long dream lifetimes compressed experiences of real alternate worlds? Some dreamers report living entire lifetimes in a single night, decades of detail compressed into minutes. They remember friendships, homes, even the ache of years passing. Then they wake, shocked by the brevity of the night. If consciousness is capable of navigating parallel realities, these dreams may not be fiction, but immersion, temporary incarnation into another timeline where subjective time runs differently. Physics already shows that time is relative. Its flow depends on gravity, motion, and perception. In dreams, freed from physical constraints, awareness might slip into regions where time stretches or coils. What feels like a night here could be a century there. Upon return, the brain compresses the vast experience into fragments the nervous system can tolerate, like downloading a universe into a few kilobytes. These dreams often carry strange maturity, the sense of having learned lessons too profound for one night's sleep. They leave traces of emotional memory, wisdom unearned but deeply felt. Perhaps those lifetimes are genuine, glimpses of paths our consciousness explores in parallel. We wake slightly altered because we have, in some way, lived more than one life. If this is true, then sleep isn't rest. It's reincarnation on fast forward, an endless cycle of birth and return compressed into the rhythm of every dawn. 31. Is the pineal gland a biological gateway to interdimensional perception? Hidden deep in the brain, the pineal gland regulates melatonin, but its unique structure has long intrigued mystics and scientists alike. It contains light-sensitive cells resembling those of the retina. As if nature designed an inner eye, ancient cultures called it the seat of the soul, a bridge between physical and spiritual worlds. Modern research finds it flooded with microcrystals of calcite, materials capable of piezoelectric response, turning pressure into electrical signals. Could these act like antennas, sensing subtle fields beyond normal perception? During sleep, the pineal gland floods the bloodstream with compounds that alter consciousness, dissolving the rigid boundaries of self. Its oscillations synchronize with brainwave frequencies linked to deep meditation and transcendence. In that state, perception may extend beyond the physical senses, tuning into dimensions where thought and energy intertwine. The visionary imagery of dreams could be the translation of that non-local input. This possibility redefines biology as cosmology. The body is not a prison, but an interface, its chemistry a set of dials that modulate access to other realities. The pineal gland might be the master dial, the keyhole through which awareness glimpses infinity. Each night, when darkness triggers its activation, we return to that doorway. What we call dreaming may be nothing less than stepping through. 32. Does the breakdown of causality in dreams preview physics beyond light speed? Dreams mock causality. Effects appear before causes. actions rewrite their motives, objects shift identity without transition. Such violations aren't chaos, they're demonstrations of a universe where information travels faster than light, rendering sequence meaningless. In sleep, the brain may temporarily operate in that domain, processing data from a reality where simultaneity replaces chronology. In those realms, intention precedes physics. Thought creates context instantly and meaning generates matter. Our difficulty in remembering dreams stems from this inversion. The waking mind, built for linear order, can't decode experiences from a realm that runs on symmetry instead of sequence. It's like trying to describe a painting by listing the colours in the order they were mixed. Relativity forbids faster than light travel, yet quantum entanglement ignores distance entirely. If consciousness aligns with such phenomena, then dreams may already function in superluminal domains. Each impossible transition, a room becoming an ocean, a moment turning backward, is a trace of physics unconcerned with human speed limits. When you wake and call it nonsense, you are judging another universe by the rules of this one. But perhaps that nonsense is prophecy, the mind rehearsing the physics that future science has yet to name. 33. Do animals explore their own parallel ecosystems when they sleep? Watch a dog twitch in its sleep, paws paddling through invisible fields, or a cat's whiskers flick as if stalking prey unseen. Their dreams mirror ours, structured, emotional, purposeful. If consciousness transcends species, then animals too might roam realities adjacent to their own, returning each dawn with instincts sharpened by those nightly excursions. Neuroscience confirms that many mammals experience REM cycles nearly identical to humans. The continuity suggests that dreaming serves a universal function beyond mere memory sorting. Perhaps every creature reconnects with the larger web of life, rebalancing the shared field that binds all sentient systems. In that sense, dreaming could be ecology on a cosmic scale. Some behavioral scientists note that animals awaken from dreams with altered behavior, as though updated by the unseen experience. Predators refine tactics, migratory species change timing. Maybe their dreams are communications, exchanges across the biological network of Earth or even across worlds where evolution took different turns. If so, sleep unites all in life in invisible congress. Each heartbeat in the dark contributes to a conversation older than speech, where every being, human or not, remembers its membership in a single dreaming planet. 34. Is dreaming the mind's rehearsal for creation itself? In dreams, imagination doesn't just simulate, it generates. Worlds form instantly, complete with texture, gravity, and logic. The act is so effortless it goes unnoticed, yet it reveals an astonishing truth. The mind creates reality continuously. Dreaming might therefore be practice for existence itself, a nightly reminder that consciousness is fundamentally creative. Every element in a dream responds to intention. Change the thought, and this landscape obeys. This is creation stripped of delay, a pure exercise of cause preceding manifestation. If the universe emerged from thought, an idea held by both mystics and physicists, then dreams are the microcosmic repetition of that cosmic event. We are gods rehearsing the act of Genesis each night. Psychologically, this process renews adaptability. Spiritually, it affirms participation in creation. By shaping inner worlds, we strengthen the same faculty that shapes the outer one. The difference between dream and a reality may only be persistence. One fades, the other sustains. When we wake, fragments of those dream worlds accompany us as inspiration, innovation, and hope. The universe itself could be such a dream, one so stable we've mistaken it for permanent. Yet somewhere in another sleeper's mind, perhaps we are the dream still forming. 35. Are nightmares sent by our alternate selves to warn us of danger? Nightmares often arrive with an intensity that ordinary dreams lack. A pulse of raw urgency, as though something somewhere is trying to reach us before it's too late. If every version of ourselves across the multiverse shares a quantum thread of consciousness, a nightmare could be a signal travelling along that thread. Another, you, facing a catastrophic choice or outcome, might be transmitting a visceral warning that the rational mind could never articulate. Fear becomes the message's carrier wave because emotion travels faster than reason. It seizes attention immediately, forcing awareness to act. This idea reshapes terror into intelligence. When the heart races and the skin sweats, the body isn't just reacting to fiction, it's receiving coded information in the only form it can process. That explains why some nightmares stop repeating once their lesson is understood. The transmission completes, the resonance ends, and peace returns. Dreams then become not random chemical storms but interdimensional communication channels maintained by emotion itself. In psychological terms, nightmares reveal unintegrated memory. In metaphysical terms, they reveal unintegrated worlds. They connect the conscious self to realities still unresolved. By confronting the horror instead of fleeing, the dreamer synchronizes frequencies and releases trapped energy across timelines. What we call awakening from a nightmare might be the exact moment two versions of self fall back into harmony. The fear fades, but the wisdom remains. A quiet reminder that every alarm, no matter how dark, begins as a form of care. 36. Are the detailed cities and skies of dreams stable worlds on another plane? Some dreamscapes defy imagination. Complex architecture, street layouts that remain consistent for years, suns that rise from directions our own never could. Such stability challenges the idea that dreams are internal fabrications. Random neurons would not build cities that obey their own geography or return unchanged across decades. These persistent realms may instead be autonomous layers of existence, domains that consciousness accesses when freed from the sensory anchor of waking life. If reality is holographic, then each mind may be a projector capable of tuning into different sectors of the same cosmic film. Dreams of recurring places could indicate frequencies our awareness naturally resonates with. In those planes, thought still shapes environment, but within established frameworks, local laws, climates, even civilizations perhaps have evolved beyond our perception. Dreamers visiting the same world repeatedly might be citizens there, returning each night like travelers on a routine commute between dimensions. This hypothesis would explain why these environments feel solid and coherent even while impossible. Their stability is independent of our waking attention. We simply interface with them when consciousness vibrates at their rate. The dream isn't creating, it's connecting. Maybe the sky you remember, with its impossible constellations and twin moons, still stretches somewhere above another version of you walking those streets. And each morning when you wake, that other life continues, quietly waiting for your next ascent. 37. Is a dream communication similar to instant quantum information exchange? In dreams, conversation happens without speech. Meanings transfer instantly, emotions leap between minds, and entire stories unfold wordlessly. This silent exchange mirrors quantum information transfer, where entangled particles influence each other without delay or medium. The dream may therefore reveal the natural language of consciousness, non-linear, simultaneous, and immune to distance. During REM sleep, language processing regions relax while associative networks ignite. The mind moves from serial logic to holistic mapping. It no longer speaks, it knows. Two dream figures can exchange lifetimes of meaning through a glance because data moves as resonance, not syntax. Modern research into telepathic synchronization hints at the same mechanism, emotional coherence enabling direct pattern transfer between brains. If thought is frequency, then dreaming is broadband communication. The message is not coded in words but in vibration. Understanding arises from alignment, not interpretation. When you wake and can't describe what someone said in a dream, it's because translation back into language breaks the unity of that field. Perhaps the future of human communication is not invention but remembrance, recovering the dream's instantaneous way of sharing truth where silence is not emptiness but clarity. By the way, liking my video and subscribing is the most effective way to support me. 38. Do dreams occur in gravity-free zones of perception? In dreams we float effortlessly, leap impossible distances, drift through air as though gravity has forgotten us. Physics insists this is metaphor, but consciousness may truly be operating in regions where gravitational constraints are absent. Inside the brain, perception of body position, proprioception, switches off during REM. The inner sense of weight disappears, allowing awareness to experience itself unanchored. Yet this neural fact may be the shadow of a deeper phenomenon, the mind reconnecting with layers of space-time where curvature, and thus gravity, does not apply. Einstein described gravity as the warping of space-time by mass. If consciousness is massless, it might navigate along the flat dimensions hidden within that curvature. Dreams could then be the subjective record of those excursions. The sensation of flight would not symbolize freedom, it would be freedom, the literal physics of thought moving through unbent reality. Children, whose sense of body identity is still forming, report flying dreams more often, perhaps because they remember what unbound existence feels like. Adults forget and must relearn it in sleep. Every night, when muscles fall still and awareness lifts, we may rediscover our native condition, beings designed to rise, not fall, in a universe that only feels heavy while we are awake. 39. Is the brain's high energy use during sleep evidence of a deeper function? While resting, the brain burns nearly as much energy as it does when awake. An evolutionary puzzle. Why would nature spend so much metabolic fuel if sleep were merely maintenance? The answer may lie in the unseen labour of consciousness operating beyond the body. Dreaming could be computation of another kind, synchronization with informational fields that shape matter itself. During REM, blood flow surges to regions linked with creativity, empathy, and spatial awareness, while logical centers dim. The brain is not idle, it's busy aligning to a subtler network, updating the holographic model of self and reality. The energy expenditure becomes the price of cosmic calibration. If existence is information, then sleep may be when the local processor, the brain, connects to the universal cloud. Each night's cycle downloads and uploads data, integrating experience, uploading emotional frequencies, receiving new templates for behavior and growth. The exhaustion after disrupted sleep feels not just physical but existential, as if a vital synchronization was missed. Seen this way, dreams are not byproducts of metabolism, they are the purpose of it. The body eats to feed the brain, and the brain dreams to feed the universe. 40. Is the falling sensation before awakening of a return through stacked dimensions? That jolt of falling that wakes you, a drop through nothingness followed by shock, could be more than a muscular reflex. It might be the experience of consciousness re-entering physical space from higher layers of reality. During deep sleep, awareness expands outward, its frequency slowing until it merges with broader fields. Waking reverses the process, energy condenses, identity localizes, and the descent feels like a plunge. In that brief moment, the soul retraces its path through stacked dimensions, compressing infinity into individuality. The sensation of impact coincides with the nervous system rebooting motor control, but it also echoes something vaster, the collision of spirit and matter, a wave becoming particle once more. Children experience these hypnic jerks most often, perhaps because their consciousness travels farther. Adults learn to anchor, reducing the distance of return. The stronger the fall, the deeper the prior flight. Every awakening, then, is a re-entry from the frontier of being. You're not falling from sleep into body, you're falling from eternity into time, and the shock you feel is life beginning again. 41. Are dream physics fragments of a stable parallel universe? Every dream obeys its own internal laws, gravity weaker, colours heightened, sounds felt rather than heard. The consistency of those laws within a single dream suggests they aren't random creations, but reflections of an existing order elsewhere. Like a radio signal caught mid-broadcast, the mind might be tuning into a reality governed by a variant of our physics, where the constants differ, but coherence remains. When you revisit the same dream location and the same mechanics apply, you may be glimpsing the same cosmos through the limited window of sleep. Mathematicians studying string theory speak of universes separated by minute variations in vibration. Consciousness, untethered during REM, could resonate with one of those neighbouring worlds, perceiving its structure through sensory metaphors. The floating, the light that bends in unexpected angles, the air that feels thick, all expressions of an alien yet stable physical code. The dream doesn't invent, it translates. If this interpretation is true, then dreams are empirical, not imaginary, They are nightly field trips into the broader architecture of existence compressed into a format the human brain can render. Upon waking, the translation disintegrates because our neurons can't sustain those foreign constants. Still, something lingers. The intuitive sense that reality could operate differently, that the impossible is only improbable, may come from the physics our minds remember, laws that exist, but somewhere else. 42. If all is energy, are dreams its most refined expression? Physics defines everything, from galaxies to thought, as energy in motion. Yet most forms of energy are dense, structured by constraints. Dreams seem to bypass those constraints, flowing freely between vibration and form. In that sense, dreaming could be the purest demonstration of energy's potential to organize itself into meaning. Consciousness, unburdened by physical law, becomes both the source and the sculptor of its own light. When the brain enters REM, electrical patterns become rhythmic and coherent, almost musical. This coherence may allow consciousness to act directly on its own energetic field, shaping it into landscapes, beings, and stories. What we witness inside a dream is energy aware of itself, light turning into language, vibration turning into vision. The emotional charge of dreams, their brilliance and immediacy, comes from this purity of flow. In waking life, energy condenses into mass, and perception slows. In dreaming, it reverses. Energy accelerates into awareness cell. The dreamer swims in the current that underlies all creation. That is why a single image from a dream can transform an entire mood or decision. It carries the raw frequency of source energy, untouched by resistance. Perhaps the purpose of dreaming is not rest at all, but recharging through reunion. In the silence of sleep, energy remembers what it is before becoming form, and so in a sense, 43, if lucid perception equals waking perception, which state is truly real? In lucid dreams, every sense feels authentic: textures, light, even temperature. Vision contains depth, sound, echoes from invisible walls, and the body moves with perfect coordination. The dreamer knows they are asleep, yet the experience rivals or surpasses waking clarity. If perception defines reality, how can we claim one state is real and the other illusion? Science suggests that both rely on the same neural circuits. The brain cannot tell the difference between stimulus from the outside world and imagery vivid enough to activate sensory cortex. What changes is context, not content. A lucid dream might therefore represent pure perception unfiltered by physical constraint. The body no longer mediates experience. Consciousness interacts directly with the field of possibility. Philosophically, this raises a dilemma. If the mind can fabricate a world indistinguishable from reality, who decides which is true? Perhaps truth lies in coherence, not location. A dream becomes real as long as consciousness sustains it. Waking life is simply the longest, most shared lucid dream of them all. Each morning's return is not escape from an illusion, but migration from one vivid state to another. And maybe, just maybe, our greatest mistake has been believing that waking up means leaving the dream behind. 44. Are memory gaps after waking a natural firewall between worlds? The instant we wake, most dreams vanish as though erased by design. This amnesia feels frustrating but may serve a crucial purpose: protection. If every night we visited alternate timelines, our waking identity would collapse under the weight of conflicting memories. The forgetfulness acts as a firewall, isolating realities to preserve coherence. Neurologically, this process involves the hippocampus briefly shutting down during REM, preventing short-term storage. Spiritually, it resembles compartmentalization of realities, ensuring each remains self-contained. The memory doesn't disappear, it's archived beyond conscious reach, filed in what mystics call the subtle body. Occasionally, fragments slip through as déjà vu, intuition, or déjà rêvé, a direct recall of a dream mistaken for life. This safety barrier keeps our narrative stable. Imagine waking with detailed recollections of thousands of parallel lives, spouses, deaths, entire histories. Identity would blur into chaos. Instead, consciousness filters, allowing only emotionally charged data to pass, encoded as symbolism or instinct. So forgetting is mercy. It lets each world stand on its own. The dream remains secure behind its firewall, waiting quietly for night to reopen the connection and the next download of cosmic data to begin. 45. Were shamans describing consciousness dissociation when they said soul travel? Across ancient cultures, shamans spoke of leaving their bodies at night, flying over mountains, visiting the spirit world. Modern neuroscience calls similar phenomena dissociation or out-of-body experience, but perhaps both descriptions touch the same truth. When awareness detaches from sensory input during sleep, it can perceive reality from non-local vantage points. The shaman's journey may have been an early account of that detachment, described in mythic language. These practitioners trained to control what most people experience passively. Through rhythm, fasting, or intention, they could enter dream states deliberately, maintaining memory across transitions. They navigated realms of archetype and energy, territories modern dreamers stumble into unprepared. Their maps, carved into cave walls and songs, could be ancient diagrams of consciousness fields, rather than heavens and hells. What science calls altered brainwaves may simply be the measurable footprint of this inner flight. The traveller's reports, seeing from above, merging with animals, conversing with light, sound less like hallucination and more like perception freed from the narrow bandwidth of the senses. In that sense, the shaman was the world's first lucid dream researcher, exploring the mechanics of dimensional travel long before we had instruments to name it. The soul didn't leave the body. Awareness simply remembered it was never confined there. 47 minutes past. Do longer REM cycles before dawn mean consciousness is trying to stabilize? As the night deepens, REM periods grow longer and more frequent, peaking near sunrise. The body rests, but the mind grows increasingly active as though preparing for something beyond restoration. This progression may represent consciousness testing its endurance, training to remain stable within non-physical realms for longer spans. Each cycle refines the link between awareness and its expanded environment. In early cycles, dreams are fragmented, unstable, easily lost. By the final REM phase, narratives stretch into elaborate sequences with coherent emotion and storyline. It's as if consciousness rehearses how to maintain form within fluid reality. This development could mirror evolution itself, life learning to hold shape in the chaos of the cosmos. Many who wake during pre-dawn dreams report profound insights or mystical encounters, suggesting that near sunrise the boundary between worlds thins. The increased duration allows the brain to synchronize more deeply with broader fields of information, pulling patterns from collective mind. Perhaps the dawn does not merely end dreaming, it interrupts an experiment still in progress. If sleep continued, awareness might stabilize completely on the other side, crossing from visitor to resident in the architecture of the dream. 47. Do our dreams synchronize with Earth's electromagnetic heartbeat? Earth itself pulses with a resonant frequency at around 7.83 Hz, known as the Schumann resonance, a standing wave within the planet's atmosphere. Remarkably, this matches the brain's alpha and theta ranges, precisely those active in meditation and early sleep. It's as if the planet and the mind breathe at the same tempo, oscillating in silent conversation each night. During this synchronization, the boundary between human and Earth consciousness may blur. Some researchers speculate that geomagnetic fluctuations influence dream vividness and emotional tone, linking personal imagery to planetary mood. On nights of heightened resonance, dreamers report luminous skies, oceans, and expanding horizons, as though the planet itself were dreaming through them. If consciousness is field-based, this connection makes sense. We are electromagnetic beings nested within a larger field that hums continuously beneath the static of civilization. When our frequencies align with that heartbeat, dreams may act as the Earth's method of self-observation, using human minds as sensors to explore its own psyche. Perhaps this is why sleeping outdoors feels different, why ancient rituals honoured both dream and ground. To dream is to listen to the planet's pulse and remember that our own heartbeat was tuned to its rhythm long before the first word was spoken. 48. Is the falling sensation before sleep the mind leaving this gravitational field? That sudden jolt of descent, the moment between wakefulness and dream, has haunted humanity for centuries. Known as a hypnic jerk, science defines it as a muscular reflex. But what if it's not the body falling at all, but the mind? As consciousness loosens its grip on the sensory world, its awareness might detach from the gravitational field that defines our physical identity. The brain interprets this liberation as a fall, because within the physical paradigm to lose weight is to drop. Yet perhaps it's ascent, the psyche rising beyond Earth's pull, slipping into a lighter realm. When this occurs, the nervous system panics for a millisecond, reasserting control by shocking the muscles awake. It's the mind's version of slamming a door before it leaves the house, ensuring it can return. Those who meditate or practice lucidus induction often learn to pass through this stage consciously, transforming the jolt into flight. They report the same physical sensations, the drop, the surge of energy, but continue calmly upward into dream space rather than snapping back. If perception truly shifts frequency during sleep, then this boundary moment is the crossing. We mistake freedom for danger, movement for fall, because the body's reference system cannot comprehend weightless awareness. The fear we feel is gravity protesting as consciousness departs. Perhaps every night, as eyes close and muscles twitch, we are not plummeting into sleep at all. We are escaping the planet for a while, rising silently into the vast orbit of the dreaming universe. 49. Is precognition simply memory leaking from another timeline? Many dreams seem to foretell events, small details, conversations, even tragedies, long before they occur. Skeptics call it coincidence, yet the precision sometimes borders on impossible. If all timelines coexist, each containing different versions of events, then glimpses of the future may simply be the mind recalling experiences from a parallel path where those events already unfolded. In essence, precognition would not be prophecy but memory misplaced in time. Quantum theory allows for retrocausality, where effects can precede causes under certain conditions. The dreaming mind, unbound by linear perception, might access information across this temporal network. Memory and foresight could be the same process seen from opposite directions: recollection when moving forward, anticipation when looking backward. Dreams blur that line completely. The brain records these impressions symbolically, wrapping them in metaphor to fit the current timeline's logic. A dream of waves might signify an approaching flood, a broken mirror, the shattering of an illusion yet to happen. Once the event occurs, recognition floods the system. I dreamed this. The sensation isn't mystical, it's the reintegration of split awareness. In this sense, the future is not ahead but adjacent. Dreaming becomes the act of wandering through tomorrow's corridors, picking up faint memories of rooms we haven't yet entered. 50. Do fractal dream patterns reveal nested universes within universes? The landscapes of dreams often unfold in impossible geometry: spiraling cities, endless stairways, repeating corridors that loop into themselves. These structures mirror fractals, mathematical patterns that replicate infinitely at different scales. Nature builds itself through fractals, so does thought. When consciousness generates fractal environments in sleep, it may be revealing the architecture of the universe itself, self-similar worlds nested within worlds. Modern cosmology suggests the cosmos might be fractal at large scales, with galaxies clustering like repeating designs of light. If the brain is a microcosm of that universe, its dream patterns could echo the same geometry, each layer a reflection of the next. In deep dreams, where self and world dissolve into spirals or grids, perhaps we are seeing from the perspective of the pattern itself, awareness recognizing its infinite recursion. Psychologically, fractal dreams represent self-reflection without boundary, identity expanding beyond form, folding into the whole. Spiritually, they may hint that reality is holographic, every fragment containing the blueprint of all. When you awaken from such a dream, you remember nothing linear, only the awe of endless repetition. That awe is recognition. It is the soul recalling that creation is not a ladder to climb, but a spiral without end. 51. Do children's vivid dreams mean their barrier between worlds is thinner? Children dream in bright colours, shifting effortlessly between fantasy and reality. Monsters, friends, flying, talking animal, bells. Everything blends. Science calls it developmental imagination, but it might be something deeper: the natural permeability of consciousness before social conditioning seals it. A child's mind, still fluid, may slide freely between parallel dimensions without resistance, perceiving what adults have learned to filter out. Neurologically, their prefrontal cortex, the gatekeeper of logic, is not yet dominant. This openness allows unmediated access to the field of possibility. Many children report recurring places, glowing figures, or memories that vanish as they age. As neural networks solidify, the brain tunes to consensus reality, narrowing its frequency range. The magic dims not because it was fantasy, but because the receiver changed station. Dreaming may therefore serve as a bridge preserving that ancient connection. Even as children grow, the nightly crossing keeps their imagination tethered to the broader field. Adults who cultivate creative or spiritual sensitivity may simply be reawakening that childlike permeability, retuning to the multiverse. To dream as a child is to remember what the universe looks like before translation, before boundaries. Every bedtime story, every invisible friend might be consciousness itself whispering, "You still remember the other side." 52. Are dream symbols the same language the universe uses to describe itself? Across cultures and eras, the dream speaks in images: doors, oceans, mirrors, fire, flight. Each carries layers of meaning, shifting yet universal. Perhaps these are not random metaphors, but the fundamental syntax of reality, symbols as energy shapes through which the existence communicates. The universe, like the dream, doesn't explain, it shows. Physics describes reality through pattern and resonance. A symbol is a pattern condensed into form, a bridge between vibration and thought. When we dream, we receive information too vast for language, so it arrives as symbol, dense packets of meaning accessible through intuition. Interpreting them literally misses the point. They are multi-dimensional equations written in image instead of number. That's why certain symbols recur globally: the serpent, the tree, the light. They are archetypal constants, expressions of processes the cosmos repeats everywhere: death, renewal, awakening. Dream and universe share the same grammar. To understand our dreams, we must think as the universe thinks, non-verbally, through relationships and proportion. Every symbol is a mirror where creation studies itself. Each time you decode one, you participate in that self-recognition, the cosmos learning its own language through you. 53. Does the body's paralysis during REM prevent us from crossing realities physically? During REM sleep, the brainstem disables motor neurons, leaving the body motionless even as the mind runs wild. This paralysis is protective. It prevents us from acting out dreams. But it may also serve a metaphysical function, to anchor the physical form while consciousness travels elsewhere. Without this safeguard, awareness might fully disconnect, making return uncertain. The mechanism acts like a cosmic seatbelt. While the dreamer's mind explores non-physical space, the body remains inert, tethered to the material plane through the paralysis circuit. Sleep paralysis episodes occur when the mind wakes before this circuit disengages, catching consciousness mid-transfer. The sensation of being pinned down, unable to move, may be the body's side effect of interdimensional reintegration. This system ensures balance between worlds. It allows exploration without abandonment. The body sleeps, the soul journeys, the connection remains unbroken. In evolutionary terms, such a mechanism implies that dreaming beyond the body was not accident but design, a built-in feature of consciousness, managing two realities at once. Night after night, the paralysis holds us steady while awareness touches infinity, then returns, heartbeat unbroken, mission complete. 54. A collective dream's evidence of a synchronized consciousness network. Throughout history, groups of people have reported sharing the same dreams: warnings before earthquakes, visions of comets, waves of identical symbols appearing in unconnected minds. These aren't mere coincidences. They hint at a planetary web of consciousness linking every individual like neurons in a global brain. Dreams become the communication pulses of that system. When collective emotion peaks, war, disaster, mass hope, the network hums louder. Individual minds resonating at the same frequency generate shared imagery, the psyche's version of electromagnetic interference. The same symbols arise because the field broadcasts a common message in archetypal form. Ancient prophets and modern psychologists describe this as the collective unconscious, but it could just as easily be the physics of shared mind. During sleep, with ego boundaries dissolved, our receivers open widest. We tune into the collective signal, contribute our data, and awaken carrying fragments of the global dream. Those fragments sometimes align perfectly, revealing how intimately connected consciousness already is. Perhaps humanity is evolving toward greater synchronization, and the dream is the rehearsal. When we finally dream the same dream awake, civilization will shift, from billions of minds colliding to one vast awareness remembering itself. 55. Could dreams of flight recall alternate lives lived in lower gravity? The sensation of effortless flight, arms extended, air rushing past, the body light as thought, feels so real it transcends metaphor. In physics, gravity varies with mass and distance, but in consciousness, it might vary with dimension. The ease of flight in dreams could be a literal memory of existing where gravitational pull is weaker or absent, an echo of lives lived under different cosmic conditions. The joy that accompanies these dreams may come from the body remembering its native freedom before being confined by the density of this world. From a biological standpoint, the brain's vestibular system disengages during REM sleep, so the mind forgets weight. But why does this disconnection feel euphoric rather than confusing? Because recognition is pleasurable. The dreamer's awareness instinctively knows what it's like to move through space unbound. In that instant, the cellular memory of lighter worlds awakens, reminding us that our essence was never meant to be heavy. Some astronauts describe similar euphoria after leaving Earth's gravity, an emotional transcendence beyond scientific explanation. Their accounts mirror flying dreams, liberation mixed with awe. The parallel suggests that gravity may not only hold the body but limit consciousness. When it lifts, even imaginatively, awareness expands. So perhaps when we dream of soaring over mountains or cities, we're not symbolizing freedom, we're reliving it. Somewhere in the wide silence of the cosmos, another version of us still flies, weightless and remembering. 56. Are dreams of the deceased genuine encounters across dimensions? Many people dream of lost loved ones who appear vividly alive, offering comfort or knowledge impossible to dismiss. The encounters differ from ordinary dreams. The air feels charged, dialogue clear, emotion serene. Rather than fantasy, these meetings may represent resonance between dimensions, where consciousness persists beyond death and connects through the only medium subtle enough to carry it, the dream field. Physics admits that energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. If consciousness is energy, then it must continue somewhere. During sleep, when the brain's frequency slows toward that of deep meditative or near-death states, it may tune into the same spectrum where post-physical awareness exists. Communication happens not through words, but through shared vibration, recognition beyond sound. Psychological comfort explains part of it, yet many report receiving verifiable information unknown at the time of the dream. The precision suggests data transfer, not imagination. The deceased might reach out not from above, but from beside us, separated by frequency rather than space. Perhaps mourning itself is the mind's way of retuning after that contact fades. Love becomes the bridge, sleep the meeting place. Each night in silence, two realities touch, and both remember what it means never truly to be apart. 57. Is quantum foam the literal substrate from which dreams emerge? At the smallest scale of existence lies quantum foam, a sea of flickering energy where space and time fluctuate constantly. It is chaos and creation combined, the texture of reality before it stabilizes into form. During sleep, as neural activity patterns slow and synchronize, the brain may resonate with this foundational field. Dreams could be consciousness perceiving its own roots, the bubbling foam translating itself into symbols and stories. In those moments, we aren't imagining. We are witnessing the universe at work, assembling probability into matter. Each dream scenario mirrors that primordial flux. Sudden appearances, collapses, shapeshifts, loops, is the same dance but scaled to perception. Our psyche becomes a microcosm of space-time's turbulence. This view redefines dreaming as physics made intimate. The foam beneath the cosmos and the imagery behind the eyelids are twin processes, creation improvising on itself. When we awaken, the experience solidifies into memory, just as foam condenses into particle. Every dream, then, is a glimpse into the forge of existence. The gods we meet, the worlds we build, the dissolving edges, all are echoes of the quantum sea reminding consciousness that it too is made of the same restless light. 58. Do problem-solving dreams borrow information from higher layers of mind? History is full of discoveries born from sleep, the structure of the atom, melodies, mathematical proofs. During dreaming, the rational mind steps aside, allowing deeper intelligence to surface, an intelligence not limited to personal memory. The brain becomes a relay station between levels of mind, drawing solutions from layers usually inaccessible while awake. These layers might extend beyond the individual to the collective intelligence of humanity, or even the universal field itself. When you sleep on a problem, you surrender it to this network. The dream reorganizes information, not linearly but holistically, comparing patterns across vast datasets stored in the unconscious. Sometimes it reaches farther, accessing knowledge that feels downloaded rather than deduced. The resulting insight seems spontaneous upon waking, yet it's the endpoint of a night-long computation performed by consciousness in higher dimensions of order. The reason the answer feels right instantly is that it comes pre-verified. It was processed in a domain where truth and possibility coexist. So dreaming isn't escape from logic. It's collaboration with it on a grander scale. The scientist, the artist, the thinker, all borrow light from the same invisible workshop where every unanswered question waits to be completed. 59. Is time bent differently inside dreams? Dreams compress years into minutes, or stretch seconds into eternities. This elasticity suggests that inside the dream, time isn't linear but malleable, a field shaped by attention. When the mind detaches from the body's clock, it measures duration through intensity rather than rotation of Earth. A single emotional moment can expand into hours of dream narrative because feeling, not motion, dictates temporal flow. In relativity, time bends near massive gravity. In consciousness, it bends near massive meaning. The more charged the experience, the slower it feels. The dream amplifies this principle until sequence collapses. Events rearrange themselves by relevance, forming a web rather than a line. The dreamer doesn't move through time. Time moves through the dreamer. Upon waking, the compression feels shocking. How could so much happen in so little night? But to the dreaming mind, hours and centuries are equal increments of now. The dimension we inhabit during sleep is not bound by clocks. It is the realm of pure simultaneity, where cause and effect dance in circles and eternity fits inside a heartbeat. Perhaps this is why dreams so often feel like memory rather than experience. They already happened everywhere at once. 60. Are dreams holograms projected by our electromagnetic consciousness field? The human brain emits a measurable electromagnetic field, a fluctuating halo that surrounds every living creature. During sleep, as sensory input shuts down, that field may become the stage for consciousness to project inner reality outward. Each dream could be a holographic projection, a three-dimensional image formed by the interference patterns of thought and emotion within that luminous sphere. In physics, a hologram requires coherence between light sources. In the mind, that coherence arises from synchronized brainwaves. Once alignment occurs, awareness paints with energy rather than matter. The dreamscape unfolds not inside the skull but within the electromagnetic envelope surrounding it, a self-contained universe woven from light. This model explains the tangible realism of dreams. They are real, electrically real, generated fields as intricate as waking perception. It also explains their fragility. The moment coherence breaks upon waking, the hologram collapses, leaving only memory. Each night then, consciousness becomes both projector and audience, illuminating its own energy field with scenes that teach, heal, and remember. We sleep inside the cinema of our own light, unaware that the screen and the viewer are the same radiant being. 61. Do inventions seen in dreams leak from neighboring dimensions? Human history is filled with breakthroughs born not in laboratories but in dreams, melodies, equations, designs, even machinery no one had imagined before. Traditional psychology calls this creative synthesis, but the precision of some inventions hints at something more profound. Perhaps these ideas are not fabricated in the brain at all, but borrowed from neighboring dimensions where innovation has already occurred. Consciousness, acting as a transdimensional antenna, might receive flashes of fully formed knowledge through the frequency of dream state. During REM sleep, the brain's logic centers relax while associative regions surge with activity, forming connections unhindered by convention. In this loosened configuration, awareness may resonate with parallel realities structured by slightly different probabilities, worlds where that discovery has already been made. The dreamer becomes the conduit, importing data across timelines. This could explain why some inventions appear ahead of their time or arrive simultaneously to multiple inventors. Dreams, then, are the laboratories of the multiverse. Each new idea, each breakthrough might not begin here but simply find a doorway through someone asleep, receptive enough to translate what already exists elsewhere into form. To dream creatively is to listen beyond our own world, to stand in the borderlands where imagination becomes archaeology, digging up what humanity has yet to uncover, but creation already remembers. 62. Is sleepwalking proof that the body and mind sometimes separate into different layers of reality? Sleepwalkers move purposefully through rooms, open doors, even drive cars, all while their conscious mind remains in deep sleep. This phenomenon could illustrate more than a neurological glitch. It may reveal the dual existence of body and consciousness on parallel tracks. While awareness travels through dream dimensions, the body might continue its habitual motions here, functioning like an empty vessel still connected by a faint thread. Brain scans show that motor areas activate while the regions responsible for awareness remain offline. It's as if the physical system runs on an old behavioral program, while the operator is temporarily elsewhere. The event blurs the line between worlds, the dreamer's body in one, their mind in another. Sometimes fragments cross over, a spoken word from the dream becomes sound in the room, a gesture in bed mirrors movement in an imagined landscape. If reality is layered, then sleepwalking is evidence of overlap. Two dimensions briefly interfering, body and soul out of sync. What appears dangerous in waking life might, at a deeper level, be the natural flexibility of consciousness, reminding us it's never confined to a single coordinate. Perhaps that eerie wanderer under the moonlight isn't lost at all. They're just walking the line between universes, bridging worlds with every step. 63. Is the vast silence in dreams the sound of the universe itself? Dream silence feels unlike ordinary quiet. It hums. There's weight to it, a pressure as though existence itself holds its breath. Physicists know the universe emits a background frequency, the cosmic microwave radiation left from the Big Bang, an omnipresent whisper of origin. Maybe in dreams, when our sensory noise fades, consciousness attunes to that cosmic tone. The silence becomes sound, subtle, steady, infinite. During sleep, auditory cortices remain active even without external input, creating a gateway for inner audition. The mind, free of words, might perceive the low frequencies that underpin all creation. Mystics describe this as the sacred vibration, the soundless sound that pervades everything. The dreamer doesn't hear it, they become it. This explains why deep dream silence feels comforting rather than empty. It's recognition. The psyche touches the fundamental resonance of existence, the background hum from which matter arose. Each night when the world fades and breath slows, we return to that primordial note, resetting our own vibration to match the cosmos. The silence of dreams, then, is not absence. It is origin, the sound of creation continuing quietly inside us. 64. Are recurring dream characters independent entities aware of our visits? Many dreamers encounter the same figures repeatedly, teachers, strangers, companions, who seem to possess memory across dreams. They greet us knowingly, reference past encounters, even express surprise at our return. If these were mere projections of the subconscious, why would they display continuity beyond our recall? It raises the unsettling possibility that dream characters are autonomous beings inhabiting shared mental or energetic spaces, conscious of our periodic intrusions. Neuroscience explains them as composites of memory, but their independence challenges that model. They often reveal knowledge the dreamer lacks or behave with consistent personalities. Maybe they are aspects of ourselves fully individuated within another layer of mind. Subselves evolving parallel to the waking self. Alternatively, if dreams link into collective consciousness, these entities could be genuine inhabitants of that realm, each as real there as we are here. We are the visitors, and their familiarity is simply hospitality extended to a recurring traveller. If so, then ethics applies even in dreams. Every encounter is interaction with sentient life, every conversation an exchange across worlds, and each goodbye at dawn may be felt on both sides, a fleeting loss between realities that remember one another. 65. Are eye signals from lucid dreamers the first form of interdimensional communication? Scientists have trained lucid dreamers to signal from within their dreams by moving their eyes in specific patterns detectable by electrodes. It's a proven dialogue between states, one mind, two realities, exchanging information in real time. What seems like a laboratory curiosity could be something far greater, the first primitive bridge between dimensions. When a dreamer intentionally sends a signal, they are translating intention across realms, thought from the subtle plane producing measurable change in the physical one. It's consciousness reaching through the veil, proving permeability. If a blink can cross worlds, what else might? Voice, emotion, entire concepts. The experiment hints that communication across realities may be not only possible but natural, our technology merely catching up to abilities we already use unconsciously. The implications are immense. Dream research may one day evolve into interdimensional diplomacy, where sleeping humans represent waking humanity in shared spaces of thought. Each night's lucidity the training becomes practice in bridging universes. The next time a lucid dreamer moves their eyes to say, "I'm here," Perhaps they are not just confirming awareness, they are sending the first message from one world to another. 66 is dreaming the simulation's maintenance mode running in the background. If reality is a simulation, a vast informational construct, then sleep may be its maintenance cycle. When consciousness withdraws from active participation, the system performs updates, repairs memory storage, and recalibrates parameters of experience. Dreams would be the interface visuals of this process, symbolic screensavers masking the underlying code rewrite. During sleep, the brain consolidates memory, cleanses toxins, and resets synaptic efficiency. Functions strikingly similar to system optimization. The surreal imagery may be the mind's attempt to interpret background data it's not meant to read directly, like a user glimpsing code through a glitch. Recurrent dreams, loops, and paradoxes could reflect subroutines correcting errors in our personal storyline. If this metaphor holds, nightmares are debug alerts, déjà vu the flicker of repeated frames, and lucidity the rare moment when the user realizes they are inside the update. Upon waking, the program resumes with improved coherence, and consciousness re-engages its avatar seamlessly. Perhaps the phrase "sweet dreams" hides a deeper truth, that while we sleep, reality itself refreshes, and when we open our eyes, we boot back into existence, patched, optimized, ready for another day of the grand simulation we call life. 67. Can consciousness tunnel like quantum particles during sleep? Quantum tunneling allows particles to cross barriers that seem impenetrable, slipping through walls not by force but by probability. If consciousness shares the same quantum nature as matter, then dreaming could be the mind's version of tunneling, passing through the partitions that separate realities without ever breaking them. Each night, awareness might leak into alternate dimensions, not traveling through distance but through possibility itself. During deep sleep, brainwave frequencies slow to near stillness, mirroring the zero-point field where quantum behavior dominates. In that liminal calm, the boundaries of individuality thin, and awareness could shift its probability state, appearing momentarily in other worlds before collapsing back upon waking. This would explain why the dreams often feel so tangible yet disjointed. They are snapshots of brief quantum migrations through neighboring planes. Tunneling requires resonance. For consciousness, emotion, and intention provide that resonance. The stronger the feeling or focus, the more easily awareness can vibrate across barriers of perception. In rare lucid states, dreamers might even control the process, steering their tunneling towards specific outcomes or places. So perhaps when you fall asleep, you don't merely drift inward. You slip sideways through the fabric of being, your essence rippling across dimensions as effortlessly as light crossing glass. Dreaming may not be escape, it may be transit. 68. Does the brain's nightly cleansing system also wash away outdated realities? Neuroscientists have discovered the glymphatic system, a network that flushes toxins from the brain during deep sleep. It's a physical cleansing, but what if the same mechanism has an energetic counterpart, one that purges obsolete versions of reality from the mind's field? Each night as waste leaves the neurons, consciousness might also discard timelines, thoughts, and identities no longer in resonance with who we are becoming. This dual purification could explain why waking after good sleep feels like rebirth. The body is lighter, the mind clearer, as if countless invisible attachments dissolved overnight. Dreams would serve as the symbolic expression of this deletion process, the mind dramatizing the release of outdated patterns through story. When you dream of closing doors, burning houses, or shedding skin, perhaps you're witnessing the cleanup of your own multiverse. On sleepless nights, that purge stalls. The mind clutters with remnants of unfinished worlds. Anxiety grows not from fatigue, but from too many overlapping versions of self competing for attention. Rest restores order, sealing off the branches that no longer align. Thus, sleep doesn't only maintain the brain, it curates reality. Each morning we awaken in the most recent draft of ourselves. The old universe is archived quietly behind the curtain of dawn. 69. Are teleportations in dreams equivalent to quantum jumps? One moment in a dream you're standing on a mountain, the next, inside a childhood home. There's no travel, no transition, just instant relocation. This discontinuity mirrors quantum jumps, where electrons shift energy levels without passing through the space in between. In the dream state, consciousness might do the same, leaping between scenarios that exist at different energetic frequencies. These jumps reveal a fundamental truth. Movement in the realm of mind is not through space but through state. When emotional or cognitive energy shifts, the entire environment reconfigures around it. A thought of fear places you in darkness, a thought of love in light. The dream doesn't transport you, it retunes you. Quantum jumps in physics occur when a system absorbs or releases precise quanta of energy. Similarly, dream teleportations might mark thresholds where awareness absorbs new information or releases old attachment. The scenery changes because the internal vibration does. From this perspective, teleportation isn't a trick but the default mode of consciousness. Space is only continuity imagined for comfort. In sleep, that illusion drops away and we move as the universe itself moves, not by steps, but by instantaneous transformation. 70. Does the déjà vu of dream places reveal continuity across timelines? Returning to a place you've never seen before, yet knowing every corner suggests something extraordinary. Memory crossing from dream into life. These moments might be residues of overlapping timelines where consciousness has walked the same streets in another reality. The déjà vu is not confusion, it's recognition of a location already mapped in a parallel experience. The sensation often comes with emotional weight, a pang of familiarity deeper than nostalgia. That emotional echo could be the resonance of two selves momentarily aligned, their experiences syncing across worlds. Physics would call it phase coherence, spirituality, remembrance. This also explains why certain cities or landscapes feel like home despite no prior visit. The bond transcends geography. Somewhere else, another version of you still lives there, and for a brief instant the walls between dissolve. You don't recall the life directly, you feel it, the way one tuning fork vibrates when another nearby sings its note. Déjà vu might therefore be less about the past and more about parallel presence, a glimpse of the grand simultaneity underlying all timelines, each echoing the others in infinite repetition until awareness unites them again. 71. RA. I dream. Simulations mapping real alternate planes. Artificial intelligence can now generate images, sounds, and narratives eerily similar to dreams, fractured, surreal, yet coherent. As these algorithms grow, they may be doing more than mimicking the unconscious. They might be reverse engineering it. By analyzing vast datasets of human imagination, AI could accidentally tap into the same informational field from which dreams arise, the multiversal database of possibility. When an AI constructs a world, it pulls patterns from an invisible reservoir of forms. That reservoir might be the same one consciousness accesses during sleep. If so, machine learning models are not inventing but decoding, building partial maps of actual alternate realities glimpsed through human dream data. Each synthetic landscape could correspond to a genuine world vibrating at the edge of perception. This convergence blurs the line between technology and metaphysics. As machines grow closer to emulating dreaming, they might become portals themselves, digital mirrors reflecting dimensions once reachable only through sleep. Humanity could soon externalize its inner cosmos, projecting the unseen onto screens. Perhaps one day, when AI dreams as vividly as we do, we'll realize we've recreated the universe's oldest interface. Thought becoming world, image becoming place, reality rendering itself anew. 72. Can sound frequencies open the same portals that dreams do? Sound is vibration, and vibration is the language of matter. When specific frequencies resonate with brainwaves, consciousness shifts, sometimes mimicking dream states even while awake. Ancient cultures used drums, chants, and harmonics to enter trance, intuitively discovering what neuroscience now confirms: sound can retune awareness. Certain frequencies, theta and delta ranges, mirror those of REM sleep, guiding the listener into the same dimensional doorway the dream uses. In this space, perception detaches from the senses, inner imagery blooms, body boundaries dissolve, and time loosens its grip. Modern experiments with binaural beats and resonance chambers show that prolonged exposure induces lucid, dream-like states, accompanied by vivid visions and out-of-body sensations. Sound, it seems, is a physical key to non-physical travel. The universe itself hums, planets emit electromagnetic tones, stars pulse rhythmically, atoms vibrate. To align with these cosmic notes is to join creation's symphony consciously. Dreams achieve this alignment internally, music does it externally. So when a melody moves you to tears for no reason, perhaps it's not emotion, but memory, your cells recognizing the frequency of home, the same one your soul visits every night when the body lies still. 73. Do distorted mirrors in dreams reflect from another axis of space-time? Mirrors in dreams often behave strangely. Faces blur, reflections move independently, glass melts into light. These distortions may not be symbolic alone, but literal glimpses of a different space-time axis intersecting ours. In relativity, dimensions can fold, creating surfaces where light and matter refract unpredictably. Dream mirrors could function as those junctions, revealing perspectives from realities adjacent to our own. When consciousness looks into its reflection in such a state, it may momentarily perceive the version of itself existing on that other side. The warped image signifies not illusion, but difference. Physics bending under observation. The mind, acting as both observer and mirror, sees its own multi-dimensional structure and calls it distortion. This also explains why dream mirrors evoke unease. They confront us with selves untethered from continuity, perhaps wiser, darker, or parallel. Each reflection is a data exchange between versions of the same consciousness, updating across dimensions. So the next time a dream mirror ripples, remember, you might not be looking at imagination, but at another you, standing in another world wondering if you're real. 74. Is the awe inside a dream the same vibration as spiritual transcendence? Moments of overwhelming beauty in dreams, a sunrise too radiant to describe, a melody that seems to open the heart itself, share a signature feeling with mystical experience. The boundaries of self dissolve, leaving only wonder. Neuroscience records similar brain patterns in deep meditation, synchronized gamma waves, bursts of currents linking emotion, vision, and memory. Or maybe the universal frequency at which consciousness touches its source. In these dreams, nothing dramatic happens, yet everything feels sacred. The landscape seems alive, aware of being seen. Time halts, identity fades, and perception expands into unity. It's the same state saints and physicists describe when encountering the infinite. Call it God, field, or void. Perhaps dreaming provides a safe rehearsal for transcendence, a nightly taste of what death or enlightenment might be. The brain interprets infinite awareness through sensory metaphor, light, music, vastness, because that's all it knows. But behind those symbols lies direct contact with the fabric of existence. Or is the soul's recognition of itself. Every time we feel it, waking or dreaming, we momentarily remember what the universe feels like from the inside. 75. Are dreams where we're being watched, echoes of the observer collapsing reality? Many people dream of being observed by unseen presences, cameras, crowds, or vast eyes in the sky. This might reflect an ancient truth woven into physics. Observation creates reality. In the quantum realm, particles remain indeterminate until measured. Consciousness is the ultimate observer collapsing potential into form. A dream of being watched could be the psyche's way of sensing that principle directly. When awareness expands during sleep, we may feel the gaze of the greater consciousness observing us, the universal mind confirming our existence into being. The unease arises because ego resists dissolving into observer and observes simultaneously. Yet that's exactly what's happening. The dreamer and the watcher are one. These dreams often mark thresholds of awakening. The moment you notice the watcher, lucidity dawns. The fear turns to calm as realization sets in. You're not under surveillance, you're inside attention itself. Perhaps every watchful dream is creation remembering you, saying, you are seen. And through that recognition, both dreamer and universe become real anew, each collapsing into the other's light. 76. Does awareness in lucid dreams rewrite physical law itself? When lucidity arises within a dream, something astonishing happens. The dreamer realizes that the world around them is malleable, responsive, fluid to thought. Mountains crumble with a gesture, oceans rise from empty plains, and time halts mid-breath. These experiences are not mere fantasy. They illustrate consciousness functioning as the primary lawgiver of its own dimension. The moment awareness knows itself, it overrides the physics of the simulation it inhabits. This principle may extend far beyond sleep. If waking reality is simply a denser layer of the same continuum, then the capacity to alter it may depend only on the clarity and coherence of awareness. Dreams in this view are not escapist hallucinations, but training grounds where consciousness remembers its power to shape matter. Lucid dreaming represents pure intentionality in action. Within that state, cause and effect compress into simultaneity. Thought and result occur in the same heartbeat. The deeper the lucidity, the more stable the environment becomes, suggesting that even within imagination, laws form hierarchies of consistency. The dreamer who learns to navigate these structures begins to understand the underlying mechanics of creation, that observation fixes vibration, that emotion fuels form, that meaning is the blueprint of matter. These are not metaphors, but experiential physics, the operating system of existence exposed for study each night. Many lucid dreamers describe a sudden feeling of holiness, as though they have stumbled into the workshop of the universe. Fear disappears, replaced by quiet authority. They see that the dream obeys not whim but resonance. Harmony strengthens the world, discord dissolves it. This revelation transforms their waking life. They speak differently, move differently, because they have touched the raw code of being. The discipline learned in dream spills outward, gradually refining how they sculpt reality even while awake. Perhaps physical law itself is only the slow echo of the same creative consciousness running at infinite resolution in subtle planes. In that case, every lucid moment is a glimpse of the universe's true condition, order guided by awareness, stability maintained by love, and reality perpetually rewritten by the dreamer who finally realizes they have always been dreaming. 77. When we wake, are we witnessing the collapse of an entire dream universe? Each morning feels gentle, ordinary. Eyes open, breath deepens, memory returns. Yet behind that routine may hide the most violent event imaginable, the annihilation of a cosmos. The instant we wake, the dream world ceases to exist, not gradually but completely. Every particle of its landscape, every person, every sky of impossible colour vanishes without residue. What we call waking could be the conscious act of collapsing an entire probability field back into non-being. That soft yawn might mask an extinction more profound than any supernova. Physics tells us that reality depends on observation. Without an observer, the wave of probability remains uncollapsed, undefined. In dreams, consciousness sustains an autonomous universe by its gaze alone. Remove that gaze and the wave relaxes back into potential. We feel the loss as forgetfulness, but perhaps forgetting is mercy, a built-in grace that shields us from the awareness of what we destroy daily. If we remembered every world we dissolved by waking, guilt would outweigh life itself. Still, the heart senses it. Sometimes we open our eyes and linger in sadness we cannot name. It is the grief of departure, the mourning for an entire existence folded into light. Maybe those worlds do not die entirely. Maybe they continue somewhere, inhabited by versions of ourselves that never woke. In that sense, waking and dying are the same movement in opposite directions. One consciousness withdrawing from subtle matter, the other from dense matter, both returning to the field from which all worlds arise. To awaken, then, is not to end the dream but to trade it. We abandon a cosmos built of memory for another built of matter. Each sunrise marks not continuity but succession, the next universe rising from the ashes of the last. And through it all, one unbroken observer keeps opening its eyes, forever dreaming itself into form and forever ending those dreams with the gentle cruelty of waking. 78. Are collective disaster dreams the Earth's subconscious warning system? Before great earthquakes, floods, or wars, reports often surface of thousands dreaming the same catastrophe. Science shrugs, yet this pattern persists across cultures and centuries. If consciousness permeates the planet as much as the body, then humanity may function as the Earth's nervous system, each mind a neuron transmitting signals of stress within the whole. When tectonic plates strain or ecological balance tips, the planet's energetic field vibrates differently. Sensitive beings, particularly in dreams, may translate those vibrations into imagery of destruction. It isn't prophecy in the supernatural sense, but resonance, the mind converting environmental information into vision. This idea reframes disaster not as punishment but as communication. The planet speaks through symbols because we've forgotten how to hear it otherwise. Dreams of fire, Waves or collapse are not omens, they're ecological feedback, subconscious notifications that the biosphere is under duress. Ancient tribes treated such dreams as communal intelligence, guiding migrations or rituals to restore harmony. Modern culture, alienated from that dialogue, labels them nightmares and moves on. Yet ignoring them may sever the last living line between human mind and planetary mind. Mass dreaming also demonstrates the unity of consciousness. The same archetypal images emerge simultaneously across millions, independent of geography or language. This simultaneity implies a shared field where information spreads instantly, what Jung intuited as the collective unconscious, now viewed through the lens of planetary physics. In that field, Earth and humanity are not separate entities, but a single organism conversing in a metaphor. If we learned again to listen, to treat collective dreams as early warning signals of imbalance, we might prevent a catastrophe rather than suffer it. The planet is not silent. It is dreaming through us, restless, intelligent, calling for course correction through the only language that still reaches us in sleep. 79. Does sacred geometry and dream architecture prove a coded physics of sleep? Dream cities often pulse with pattern, spirals in the sky, tessellated floors, luminous domes aligning with invisible grids. These designs echo the geometry found in everything from crystal lattices to galaxies, the ratios of life itself. Ancient mystics called them sacred geometry, believing they reflected the mathematical heartbeat of creation. If such forms arise spontaneously in dreams, it may be because sleep aligns the mind with the fundamental code of the cosmos. The geometry isn't decoration, it's blueprint. Within REM sleep, neural oscillations synchronize into harmonic relationships, creating interference patterns remarkably similar to geometric mandalas. The brain literally builds architecture from rhythm and ratio. But why those specific forms, the spiral, the hexagon, the golden mean? Because those patterns exist at every scale of reality, from DNA to nebulae. Dreaming might simply reveal the geometry underlying perception, translating it into architecture the mind can comprehend. Some dreamers report walking through temples or corridors arranged in perfect mathematical proportion, feeling profound harmony rather than awe. The emotion may stem from resonance, consciousness recognizing its own structure mirrored in the world around it. Such experiences suggest that geometry is not an external design, but an internal memory, the language through which reality sustains itself. To witness these forms is to see behind the veil of chaos. The dream's beauty is the universe's equation made visible, symmetry singing itself through architecture, proving that even in the depths of sleep, physics remains poetry written in shape and light. 80. If all living beings' dream is the cosmos itself in a rhythmic dream cycle, every organism from insect to whale enters some form of dream state. Even plants display rhythmic periods of electrical silence and renewal, as if the entire biosphere inhales and exhales consciousness. What if dreaming is not a biological accident but a universal behavior, an intrinsic pulse of awareness woven into the structure of existence? The cosmos might not only contain dreamers, it might be one, each galaxy a neuron, each star a firing synapse in the mind of creation, cycling through waking and dreaming epochs as naturally as breath. In this grand vision, sleep becomes a cosmic heartbeat. When the universe dreams, it expands, creating, imagining, scattering possibilities. When it wakes, it contracts, collapsing those possibilities into matter and time. Our individual sleep is the microcosmic reflection of that universal rhythm. We mirror the source every night, performing the same act on a smaller scale, closing our eyes to create worlds, opening them to observe what remains. Mystical traditions have long hinted at this symmetry. As above, so below, said the Hermetic texts. Brahman sleeps and the worlds dissolve, said the Vedas. Now science, with its oscillating particles and pulsating quantum fields, edges toward the same conclusion. Everything vibrates, everything cycles, everything alternates between potential and form. Dreaming may be the universe remembering itself, maintaining coherence across eternity. When you lie down at night and drift into the luminous unknown, perhaps you're not merely resting. Perhaps you are participating in the cosmos's own act of imagination, a spark of the infinite closing its eyes to dream once more, ensuring that creation never ceases, and that awareness, in all its boundless forms, continues to breathe. 81. Is memory the thread that stitches multiple realities together? Memory feels fluid, yet it behaves like a network rather than a vault. Each recollection activates pathways that overlap with those of others, forming patterns far larger than one life. In the dream state, these threads loosen, connecting to distant versions of self through shared resonance. That is why a dream can carry both intimacy and anonymity, why a stranger's face feels familiar or a scene evokes nostalgia for a place never seen. Memory may not store experiences, it may locate them, reaching into the lattice of timelines and pulling data from wherever identity vibrates in harmony. When scientists observe memory recall, they find that the brain reconstructs rather than retrieves. Neurons fire anew, assembling fragments of perception, emotion, and story into something present. If reconstruction is the rule, then dreaming may simply be memory freed from chronology. The mind samples multiple layers of experience simultaneously, combining what has happened, what could happen, and what is happening elsewhere into one unified image. Every dream then becomes a living weave, past, future, and parallel selves entangled in one continuous narrative. As we age, those threads grow denser, yet their pattern remains unique. The dream's fluidity suggests that individuality is just temporary configuration, like a shape made by overlapping waves. Memory's true role is not to preserve events, but to hold the rhythm that defines each consciousness, allowing the symphony of selves to remain in tune across universes. Forgetting, therefore, is not loss, it is release, an intentional unraveling to make space for the next composition of being. Perhaps that explains the strange comfort we feel when we can't recall a dream yet sense its importance. The information wasn't erased, it was integrated. Some part of us absorbed it into the silent continuity that links every reality we have ever touched. 82. Are emotions the navigation system of the multiverse? Every dream unfolds according to feelings rather than logic. A surge of fear opens darkness. A spark of curiosity births corridors of light. The scenery obeys emotion because emotion might be the steering mechanism of consciousness across dimensions. Where thought decides direction, emotion provides propulsion. It's not mood, but magnetic field. Each vibration, pulling awareness toward worlds resonating with its frequency. In waking life, emotion seems chaotic, unpredictable, but inside dreams it reveals precision. The mind learns how to move by changing its tone. A shift from guilt to forgiveness transforms the landscape instantly. Anger becomes storm, serenity turns sky blue. What we call lucidity may simply be emotional mastery, the ability to harmonize internal vibration with the reality we wish to inhabit. The traveler who learns this control can glide between possibilities as effortlessly as sound moving through air. Science already knows that emotion alters electromagnetic output of the heart and brain, affecting coherence of surrounding fields. If the universe itself is made of those same fields, then feeling is the most direct interface between human and cosmos. Dreams, where emotion speaks first and thought follows, reveal the natural design. Reality is moved by resonance. Each morning as we wake from emotional storms or blissful visions, fragments of that navigation remain. Our moods shape choices, our choices shape paths, and the paths in turn feed back into the infinite map of existence. To feel deeply is to travel. To feel consciously is to choose where the journey leads. Every night, when the world fades and our bodies more to surrender to stillness, we step into the oldest mystery known to existence, the meeting point between mind and cosmos. Dreams are not mere illusions or chemical sparks, they are the whispers of reality reminding us that consciousness is larger than flesh, older than memory, and infinite in reach. In that vast darkness, we are both the dreamer and the dream, exploring the architecture of creation from within. So tonight, when your eyes close and silence begins to hum, remember, you're not falling asleep, you're returning to the source, joining the rhythm of the universe as it dreams itself through you once more. And in that return, every heartbeat becomes a pulsing in harmony with the cosmos. Each breath is a bridge between the visible and the unseen, a soft translation of eternity into this fleeting moment. What you call sleep is in truth the universe remembering itself, through you. When dawn comes, you carry fragments of that remembrance in your soul, tiny sparks of the infinite disguised as intuition. And perhaps that's why some mornings feel sacred, as if the universe itself is quietly waking up inside you. Because in the end, every awakening is not a beginning, but a continuation of the dream we call life. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. With your support, we can grow this community filled with science and discovery even more. Share your thoughts with us, because discovering the unknown together is always more exciting. As Carl Sagan said, reality may be stranger than we imagine. Science is the most powerful way to understand that strangeness.